I am Michael DeVellis. This is the Powder Group Conversations with Michelle Webb on creativity. I want to thank, before we get started, our 6 sponsors of the Powder Group Conversation series: Omnia, Skindinavia, Senna Cosmetics, Beekman 1802, Cinema Secrets, and of course, Muse Beauty Pro. These brands have brought this entire year of programming to you guys for free, free, no money, no charge. Also available on YouTube on the Powder Group's channel. So please, if you've missed any, make sure you jump on there and check those out. Let's jump right into this, Michelle, because we've known each other for more than probably 10 years now. And, I always end up getting to see you when you're in New York for something like Fashion Week, or I'm in London doing a project. And we haven't seen each other for a few years now. And I was saying 2 years, but it's even more like 3.
Probably about 3 years, I think, since you've moved, and then COVID, and
blame me. Go ahead, blame me. But yeah, no, it's and for me, one of the things is that whenever we're together, you're always in the middle of something. And it's always something creative. I mean, it's like, I look at your website at Michelle Webb Makeup. I look at your Instagram, and it's so inspirational for me. And I'm not a makeup artist. I'm a makeup artist lover. I love the art of makeup artistry. I love what makeup artists do and what they create. And for me, the fascinating part of it is when, all of it's incredible, but when art meets makeup meets commerce, when you're able to find ways to drive your passion and drive your heart. And I'm going to show some stuff you've done on Makeup Magazine in a minute too, because you've been in 3 times for us. And I'm so grateful that you've been in there with us.
No,
I always like to ask at the beginning of these sessions about the thing we're celebrating today, and that's creativity. So if I were to say, Michelle Webb, what does creativity mean to you as an artist? What would your answer be?
I mean, it's such an open question, isn't it? It's like, it means so much to me. It's like how I express myself. It's my happy place. I just love to be creative. It's kind of like where I play. And I'm a bit of like a dreamer as well. So it's where I can bring some of those kind of crazy dreams that I think of in my head into life. So creativity means so much, and it's such a big part of my everyday life. Like, just creating makeup, or whether it's on myself, on my partner, my friends, playing around with glitter or crystals, or creating, designing the rooms in my home or things. It just fuels my whole life, really.
I love that. And you also created somewhat recently, it's been a little bit now, you created your own makeup line as well, right?
Yeah. So quite a creative brand as well. So we sell like crystals, glitters, pigments, neon colors, brightly colored liners, stuff like that. And we're working on new products as well, and always trying to develop something new. So our products are really, creative products for artists and makeup enthusiasts. And I wanted it to be something I could use within my work, different mediums, something I could create crazy looks with, and also that you can kind of use in everyday makeup too, if you just want a pop of color or something.
And can you tell them where they can find information about that?
I'm sure, we have an Instagram, which is Burn Beauty Official. And we also
Burn Beauty, BURN.
Yeah, Burn Beauty Official. And we also have the website burnbeauty.com. It's actually having a bit of a refurb on the website at the moment. So give it 5 to 6 days and it'll be up and running with some new products and a new look. And it's really exciting. That's been a whole other journey.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up in the beginning, because I think, as a creative and someone who I've only ever known as a super creative artist, I mean, you do incredible skin and great beauty, but you can see your heart is in your creativity. Were you always focused from early days on creativity, or were you like your natural look makeup artist who then finally discovered creativity?
No, I was a special effects makeup artist. So I worked in film predominantly and a little bit of music. So mostly doing special effects makeup, assisting on films, and obviously, heading departments on smaller indie movies. I was making like zombies and creatures and crazy things like that, which is still creative in its own right in a different way. But no, I wasn't really doing much beauty makeup or like clean skin or anything like that. That's something I had to teach myself when I got into fashion, because I was doing very different makeup when I started out in the industry. But I think my creativity come from my love of kind of special effects, and then it just crossed over into fashion. Yeah.
Now, I want to, since you talked about fashion, I want to show I think it was the first time that you were featured in on Makeup Magazine. It was spring 2012.
I know, I'm
Spring
getting old.
2012. That feels
I
like
feel old.
a million years. You feel old. And you did a fashion week piece from us, and we did a little interview. And this is spring 2012. And I just want to show everybody just some of the looks here on screen, just because, I don't want, it's so much to pull up things on these sessions digitally. But, your work really does, there's always something to it that feels like there's something special, even if maybe we see it as just fashion makeup or fashion show makeup, not creative makeup. When you're creating and doing a show, when you're designing a show, you do so many. What is your starting point for designing a look for runway or for a designer? And sort of, how do you also make sure, since you've done it for so many years, that you're not being redundant and that you're not popping out a great idea that you look back and go, oh, damn it, I actually did that 5 years ago for this designer?
I think it's kind of evolving the looks as well. Obviously, I have a style. So normally you can tell that maybe if someone's got a lot of crystals or the makeup's a certain way, you can kind of tell it's my style of makeup. But I think through working with the designers, looking at their collections, looking at their inspiration behind their collections, kind of, understanding what this collection means and the textures of the fabrics, the colors of the fabrics, the story, who is the, woman or guy or, that they've created this look for. That's how I kind of start to create the look. And then it just comes to me. I mean, I don't know, like through a collaboration, obviously. Some designers are very set on the way that they want their look to be, but then I kind of put my input and think like, no, this would work in this time frame, or that would work, because obviously we're limited with the amount of time that we have backstage as well. But yeah, I don't like to do too many things, do the same look over and over again, but it's more like evolving it. For instance, in that magazine, you showed the completely girl that was covered in green glitter. Like, I worked with those designers for about 5-6 years in London, in Moscow, and we wanted to evolve the look. So we kind of changed what we've done. We've done like full body looks with full body tattoos, and we changed the texture of the glitter, or maybe we used crystals in different shows. So we were still like keeping it in the same thing, but evolving that original look.
So when you're working on something like that, and again, because what I love is when you said, I don't know, it just comes to me, right? It just comes to me, because that's your heart. That's where you're coming from a creative standpoint. And as as we work with so many different artists at the Powder Group, sometimes you see people who have that thing where they just kind of, it comes to them. And sometimes you see people who have to work at it.
Yeah.
And when you have to work at it, sometimes it works and sometimes it's a little bit of a miss. And I think that for someone who it just comes to, what do you say to someone who wants to be creative, is longing to be more creative, and is trying to find, but trying to find the right way to get that makeup to drip on the face so it's not too much and it's just enough, or to add enough glitter or crystals or pearls so it feels right? How do you give someone advice? And you're, as an educator, because you teach as well, how do you teach someone how to be creative?
It's hard to teach how to be creative, but it's more of a frame of mind, I would say. I mean, if you find that you're an artist that maybe is very precise, you're great with your lines, you're great at skin, but you come to creative makeup and you're just like, oh, I don't know where to put the color, I don't know where to put the glitter on, then you start to get panicked that you can't be creative. I would say just experiment on yourself at home. When I first started doing makeup, even when I was working in film, I just used to do the most craziest looks on myself, even if I wasn't going anywhere, even if I wasn't going out to the club and needed to look crazy. I would just do like crazy looks on myself using all different products and just practice using the different mediums. I think a lot of like my passion for creative work is because I have a wide product knowledge as well. I'm always using different products from different brands, trying all the different brands to feel the textures and feel the products. And then those kind of different mediums and textures inspire me to make creative work. Yeah,
it's an interesting question. I'd love, when you talk about product, with the exception of maybe crystals or glitter, where you go, okay, I want to do a crystal look, or I want to do a glitter look. Obviously, you're starting with the product there. Yeah. But how much of your creativity do you ever start with product and go, okay, I've got this great, palette of creams in neon, I want to work there? Or do you go, I need to create this look, and then you come up with the products to do so?
I think it works both ways. Like sometimes I think of a look and I'm like, I've got to find the products for this look. But yeah, sometimes I get a product and I'm like, wow, I'm in love with this. Like I love this product, or and I just want to put it all over someone's face, and like play with it. That's exactly how I feel. Like I love paints and any kind of products that are quite painterly and mimic kind of, like how we would paint on a canvas, but I could use it on the face, So I have a lot of cream products, a lot of liquid shadows, a lot of paints in all different formulas, kind of greases, kind of gels, and that's what inspires me. And then also mixing the different mediums. That's why I brought out pigments first of all, because I love to have that raw product that is a pigment. Every makeup product's got pigment in it, whether it's foundation, whether it's lipstick, eyeshadow, it all starts with the pigment pretty much. And I love to layer. I love to use creams and then pigments on top and then glitters on top. And that's what kind of inspires me. So it works both ways. Sometimes I just think, wow, I want to cover someone in crystals, or wow, I want to cover someone in sequins. So I need to go and find what I need to do this. But then other times I'll pick up a color like a neon pink. I remember I bought a Danessa Myricks product, like a neon pink once. I picked it up and I was like, I love this color and I want to use it in a shoot, Yeah. So I was like, right, this product's going to be in a shoot, So sometimes a product does inspire me, but other times I just have crazy ideas and I need to hunt down the product for that.
I love that. Well, Danessa's product certainly inspires a lot of our artist community. It's incredible. It's just amazing stuff. Aside from product, you said it really well when you said, someone who might be great technically at makeup sort of looks at a canvas, which is the face, or their own face if they're practicing, and they go, I just don't know where to start. I don't know where to put a line. I don't know where to put the glitter. Your words really, I think, resonate with a lot of our artists who try to get into that creative realm and don't know where to start. What is your general starting point for creative work? Like, what is your idea? Like, where do you start from and then go to where?
It's always a bit different. If it's just something that's coming from my own brain and it's like a creative collaboration, I kind of just go for it and start. I'm kind of like I said, I'm inspired by a color or inspired by someone's eye shape, and I just go for it. It's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of like you can't overthink it. That's the best way to say it. When I teach creative makeup, just don't overthink it. Just go for it. It's all makeup. It wipes off. If you put something in a place you don't want it, just take it off and start again. So I don't know, I just pick up a brush and slap it on. That's how I think about it, really. It's so crazy, but yeah, I just go full force in and just, be as creative as you can. And that's how I think about makeup too.
Do you ever use face charts as tools to create and just think out your designs, or do you?
I don't know.
No. How do you plan your designs?
In the beginning, when I was first starting to do test shoots and editorials and things, when I first was doing creative makeup, I used to do a lot of mood boards. So a lot of like inspiration come from other places. So a lot of mood boards, etc. A lot of research, looking at other artists that inspired me. Obviously, we never want to copy anyone, but you want to have inspiration. So I look at other artists and take inspiration from their work. That's how I was working in the beginning, doing a lot of mood boards of things that I love. Now, I've been doing makeup 17 years. Sometimes I might show a photographer or someone an image that I love and say, let's do something along these lines. But now I do reference a lot of my own work. I'm like, let's do this, but like do it in a different way, or let's do something like this. So I used to do a lot of mood boarding, never really face charts, unless you were doing backstage at shows and you wanted to share the face chart with everyone. But yeah, mostly mood boards. And yeah, I'm not a big face chart girl. I'm not great at drawing on paper, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, listen, you're pretty good at drawing on faces and bodies, so we'll take it. We'll take that. What, from the standpoint of, you just said you use your work as a reference point sometimes. I think with social media, Michelle, we've seen so many artists, I can name 3 off the top of my head, who've called out people for literally repeating their design on creative makeup, taking their design, using it, making it their own, not saying this was inspired by Michelle Webb. When someone does use your work as an inspiration for theirs, just as a personal moment, is that flattering? Does it feel like they're cheating? Are you upset? what is your, because you're taking so much energy and you're creating from nothing. You're really one of the most unique artists I've ever had the good fortune of engaging with, working with, and sharing your work. What is that feeling like for you when someone sort of copies you?
I think it's flattering, really. And also, obviously we can be original, but nothing really is original. Like art, again, is subjective. It's been done many, many times in different ways. Like you could say, obviously, we talk about crystals a lot. I love creating the full crystal faces that I do, but I'm not the first ever person that stuck a crystal all over somebody's face, and I'm not claiming to be. So I think it is flattering, you know. And yeah, if someone wants to take inspiration from my work, go ahead and experiment. As long as you know, don't take my photos and pretend that they're your work, then I'll be really angry.
And as long as you say, thank you, Michelle, for your inspiration. I think that's
nice.
You know,
That's really flattering. I'm always shocked when I see someone that kind of wants to recreate the looks that I do and is like inspired by me. But also it's nice to see work evolve. Like a red lip is not new, but we all do red lips and smoky eyes, you know. That's just us as makeup artists. We can't claim it's our own. So yeah, I don't really get offended if someone wants to go off and cover someone in crystals, and I'll be like, you know, yeah, I think it's great, go and be creative. I don't get offended.
that's great. I want to bring up, you know, you did a beautiful piece, and thank you for letting us publish it on
No,
Makeup
thank
Magazine.
you.
I just want to share for anybody. I know On Makeup Magazine has been very slow in coming. They all went out 3 weeks ago, but USPS has not been my friend this month, this year. This is the new issue of On Makeup, and I just want to show for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's also online at onmakeupmagazine.com. I'm going to show these images because I have a few. Number one, I have a few questions like how long does this take? And how patient do you have to be to be a model for this? Because you know I've always wanted you to cover me in crystals, but I don't think I have the wherewithal to do it.
You have to be very patient. The models went through a lot. They're always like, yeah, I want to be covered in crystals. I'm really excited before and then during they're like, oh my God, how much longer is this going to take? It took around 8 to 12 hours depending on the design. As we got more into the project, we got more ambitious with the patterns that we were using, and we had some of our friends that were bald and we went straight over their heads, etc. So it takes about 8 to 12 hours, and on each model I had 2 assistants, so it was 3 of us doing one person. But it was a real pageant project. You have to be very patient for sure, but it's also quite therapeutic because it's quite calming, you know, repeating the step over and over. And then obviously we gave them all breaks. We wouldn't just make them sit there for like 12 hours. We had like loads of breaks. They could get up and walk around, they could eat, etc. We left the lips and the eyes to the end. And yeah, it's one of my favorite projects. It's been a few years now, but every time I see it, I just smile, you know.
Well, I think what's interesting too is, you know, we see this all the time. Like you said, you're not the first, you won't be the last. You're arguably the best at doing it. But, you know, when you, there's so many mistakes that you can make in this. And I think one of them for me, when I look at someone who's doing a lot of crystals or glitter or sequin, it's placement and it's process, and it just doesn't look as precise as yours. Is there a tip that you can give people who want to do something? So, because this is incredibly intense. Like there is a lot of, it's all density. There's no air.
Yeah, there's not much space.
No, it is all covered, right? So,
yeah.
So what product do you use? If you can share, like, what is your adhesive? And then also, what do you remove it with? And how do you remove it?
We use Prozaid for the adhesive, so, and then we removed it with like prosthetic glue remover, basically. So that would get it right off, like Prozaid remover or Bond off, etc. And then any sensitive areas around the eyes, etc., we just use oil. It was very meticulous. What I wanted is the crystals to be very close together, so any gaps we filled in with smaller crystals. And obviously it was a bit like painting by numbers. I don't mind sharing how we like body painted the models first in the colors that the crystals would be on their body. So if there was blue crystals, that area would be painted blue. If it was going to be black crystals, that area would be painted black. If we was going to do a design on the eye, I would map that out first on the eye and then color it in the colors that we were going to use. We used a lot of body paints, mostly Meron, few gel-based products from MAC, and then Prozaid, a lot of Prozaid to stick them on. And then I like to use tweezers, but everyone had a different method. I find that I can really get in there with like pointed tweezers and really push the crystals into the little areas that were needed to be filled in. And yeah, had a great team and very patient models. So yeah, that's how it
I love
works.
that. And I think, you know, for me, I just sit there and go, oh, wow, that makes so much sense. Like work smarter, not harder, right? You're drawing that out, you're designing it on the body and face, and then you're filling it in. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. Now, are those, and I know in some things you were use Swarovski crystals. Are those Swarovski? Are they generic crystals? Is there a type of crystal that someone should be looking for if they're trying to emulate that look?
I mean, we use mostly Austrian crystal because of the way that it shined, because we made a video of it, but we did use some resin crystals. We didn't use Swarovski. I did ask them to sponsor, but they didn't want to. But actually, I sourced those crystals from a wholesaler because we used around 500,000 crystals on the whole project. So I sourced them from a wholesaler. And that's again how my brand come around, because people kept asking me, where can I buy these crystals? Can I buy these colored crystals? Where are you getting all these crystals from? And I was just like, I just bought them in bulk, you know, and then people wanted to buy them in bulk off of me. So that's how the brand also kind of come around from this project. Yeah, so a mixture of crystals. There's a lot. We didn't use any plastic crystals because they don't shine as well, but any Austrian crystal or resin kind of crystals really
Awesome.
worked well.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, I just said earlier, sometimes things work and so when people are trying to be creative and sometimes it doesn't. And now someone like yourself who things just come to, as you said, and you've been doing this for many, many years, as you've said, are there ever points that don't work for you? Or is there a point in a project, whether it be, you know, runway project or something super creative you're doing for yourself for a creative project, is there ever any point where you go, this is not working, I'm going to scrap this project? Or do you find a way to evolve every project into something that works?
I kind of try and find a way to evolve it. Obviously, there's times where the looks haven't worked how you planned them, or, you know, it's just like something's not going right. It's not how you imagined it in your brain. But yeah, for a project, yeah, I always try and find a way to, you know, evolve the look. And if something goes wrong, I'm very much just like take it off and start again. I don't kind of just get upset about it. I know sometimes when you are trying to create a look and it doesn't go the way that it's worked in your head, people can get a little bit upset and think, oh no, I can't do this, I'm not good enough to do this. But no, I just wipe it off and start again and go back to the drawing board.
This might sound like a funny question, but you know, I think it's helpful for people who get to a different place than they tried to start. And you just said you evolve it, right? That's great. You know, I don't know that you can give me a percentage or a number of, you know, but how often is it that you start with something very specific in mind and then the end result in a creative makeup is very different from what you started planning?
Oh, 50% of the
Wow.
time, for sure. It's like, also I get overexcited because I'm like, right, I'm gonna do this really like I do my girlfriend's makeup a lot. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do a natural look, and then she'll come out with like a full on like, you know, creative eye, and she's like, I've looked like I should be walking down the catwalk. What have you done to me?
You're
I'm
like,
like,
no, that's my bridal. That's a bridal look for Michelle Webb.
yeah, no, totally. If someone asks me to do bridal, I'm like, have you seen my work? You sure you want me for your wedding? But yeah, I mean, it changes. Like I come up with an idea and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do like a really cute kind of sparse glitter shoot with like 4 models. And then the models get there and by the end, their whole face is covered in glitter, you know? So when I say evolve, sometimes it goes a completely different way, but I think that's the great thing about being creative. Like you never know what you're going to get. That's how my brain works, I think.
Well, I think it helps people feel more assured in trying to be creative when they look at your work. They go to your Instagram, Michelle Webb Makeup. They look at your website, Michelle Webb Makeup. They look at Burn, you know, your cosmetics line, and they say, look at all these creative products. I don't know where to start. Like we said, I don't know how to be as creative as Michelle is, but to know that even when you plan it out, even when you're planning it out, you're going to end up someplace maybe that you didn't mean. And
yeah,
I think that makes people feel comfortable.
And you can make happy accidents, you know. Sometimes you'll go to a shoot and you're like, right, I'm going to do this, but then you create something else and it's something that people love, you know. I've done an editorial a couple of years ago and it was all about, yeah, like glittery eyes, and in the end I'd kind of like covered the whole girl's neck in like stars, and like that was like the standout issue, that picture from that issue that we done for the magazine. And it wasn't planned, but it kind of just evolved to get to that place, like where can I take this look now, where can I build it? So Yeah, I love it. I love creative makeup. It's what gets me out of bed and makes me happy.
I want to show the other story that you did for us. This was from spring 2014, and this was a really, really special story where all the models were in water.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who've not seen this story, it is one of my favorites we've ever published. It has such incredible texture and energy. And again, each of these looks, looking at these two here, right? One look is a little more sparse, one's a little more intricate. This I think is a great example of, you can go anywhere with this. It doesn't have to be everyone's face is covered. What is the process of doing someone's makeup that's going to end up in water? Do you want it to come off the face? What are the products you use? Are they waterproof products? How did you create these? I'm just going to show them again while you're sharing.
This is in a bathtub, actually. I have a lot of experience with underwater makeup. I used to work in the Philippines at an underwater photography studio, and we used to shoot a lot of like fashion videos and photo shoots. So I got to test a lot of products. Mostly we use cream-based products or oil-based products. This shoot was very like painterly, like the paints kind of, some of them remind me of like oils, and I wanted them to drip into the water, and we kind of scattered like glitter into the water and a little bit of food coloring to change the color of the water. So I didn't mind if a little bit of it run off the face, but the process was to start off with a look, still creative, not really like it's not very precise, it's just kind of bits of paint here and there, and then build on it with different textures, start with a cream kind of product, then move on to an oil-based product, then move on to some glitter or pigment on top, and just get them to lay in the water, change the colors of the water, add some glitter, and that was it, really.
I think you realize you just said, and that was it, really. As if
I know. That's it.
You're like, that was it. I think, these are those things. Again, happy accidents. You talked about creativity is, I think, often about happy accidents. Like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that was going to happen. But this was incredible. Like you said, the stars on the neck, being the best shot. I think sometimes for me, when things don't work, it's because it feels like there's too much. Somebody went a little too far.
Yeah.
How do you know, and maybe this is a bad question for you, because you always like to go too far, but how do you know when to stop? Like, how do you know when these painterly pictures, when to stop putting more makeup?
You still want to see the beauty of the model. Even when we done the crystallized project, we still wanted to see the structure of their face. We still wanted to see their beauty kind of shining through. So you don't want it to be so transformative that you lose that beauty of your model or your subject that you're working with. For me, when it kind of starts to go a bit like all the colors mixed together and it goes a bit muddy and always just like looks like you've got too much product on the face, that's when it's gone too far. You know what I mean? And it's the same like if you're doing a more simple look, if someone's to ask you to do like neon green eyeshadow and a burgundy lip, maybe that's not your thing, and you'd be like, no, this isn't going to work, that's way too much for your show. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. You just can tell. I think for me, I can just tell like, oh no, that flower on the face that you've stuck there has taken it too far. And I think when it goes from kind of being really creative and beautiful to then looking very distorted, it kind of can be pushed a little bit too far.
I like that. So we're almost out of time. I've got two more quick questions for you. One is, we are in Pride around the world. It's Pride Month. I love Pride Month. I love celebrating our LGBTQ community. As a part of that community, are you ever influenced? Is your work influenced? Is there anything queer about your work and energy of what you put out? Is that part of your artistry and creativity, or is it just a part of your identity?
I think yes and no. Obviously, it's part of my identity, but I'm also inspired by the community. Like, I work with a lot of queer artists. I've worked a lot in drag, I've worked a lot in the trans community. My girlfriend is trans, and it really inspires me. Like, amazing people doing amazing things, living their truth. That's inspiring. And obviously the queer community is so colorful and so open and sparkly, I like to say. Like, yeah, you can't help but be inspired. So yeah, every day it does inspire me, but it doesn't define my work, but it also helps motivate me and inspire me too.
Love that. I love that. Last question. One piece of advice for someone who's either looking to get into creative makeup or someone who's trying to become more creative or fine tune their creativity and their artistry, what would that one piece of advice from Maestro Michelle Webb be?
A couple of things. I know you say one thing. Definitely product knowledge is 1,000% needed if you want to be creative. Experiment with the products you have, experiment with other products if you can get your hands on them, so you really understand your textures and your formulas and what can mix together. And my second piece of advice is just don't be afraid. Like, just go for it, just play, and try not to put too much pressure on yourself, because that's when you start to block your creativity. It's about being creative and fun. Of course, we've all got a job to do, we've all got to pay our bills, so you can't just go on a shoot and do whatever you like, but don't put too much pressure on yourself, and just know that it's just makeup at the end of the day. You can always wipe it off and start again.
Couldn't think of a better piece of advice to wrap our time together with. I adore you so much, and I can't wait to see you again and give you the big hug.
Too long. I can't wait to see you too.
One of these times, when the UK and the US can travel together again.
I'll be coming. I can't wait to get back to the US and back to New York, back to LA, just get over there and see all my friends and give everyone hugs and paint some faces.
Well, I'm all in for all of that. So count me in. All right, my friend, I adore you. This has been Michael DeVellis for the Powder Group Conversations with Michelle Webb on creativity. What an exciting and inspirational conversation. Thank you to our sponsors again: Omnia, Scandinavia, Muse Beauty Pro, Senna Cosmetics, Beekman 1802, and Cinema Secrets. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks, Michelle. Love you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.